Yeah. Peace on earth. Ethan Indigo Smith here with another little episode of Tai Chi and Chai Tea, where we break down herbalism and meditative movement and everything in between. In looking into meditation, I ultimately found hermetics. Surprised I didn't find it before. And in looking into hermetics, I found the Tao of Thoth. Check out my book, The Tao of Thoth. One of the things that came up in researching the Tao of Thoth was the Mohists. And the Mohists were a group of Chinese philosophers, Eastern philosophers in what is now China. And let me just take a moment. Today, this moment, I'm actually not sipping on chai tea nor herbal tea. I have a little coffee, which is essentially herbal superpower anyway. You know, if you put potatoes in boiling water, they go soft. You put an egg in boiling water, it gets hard. But if you put coffee in boiling water, be coffee. So yeah, today having a little herbal concoction of coffee. And of course the usual herbal concoction that is medical slash recreational cannabis. So the Mohists' main focus, premise, core idea is impartiality. And the Mohists are often compared to the ancient Greeks in their logical deductions and in their formula of thinking and uncertainty, the subjective nature of our minds. But impartiality really leads to the archetypal wise Eastern man on the mountain type of thing. Impartiality, as much as possible, removes the subjectivity, the prejudices, the obstacles that are really preventing us from seeing actuality. And everyone around the world, not only in the United States, deals with political parties. Parties are completely partial, right? They're not impartial. It just goes by their very nature, right? Being of a party, you're now partial to a certain set of quote unquote principles. I won't say principles without the quotes because let's face it, it's inferred, subjective stuff that they might call principles. So, being in a party and being partisan lends one to be either what I call an idiot or a zealot. Or an elitist, let's face it, ultimately. Elitists are less likely to be partisan rather than than use partisan thinkers towards their own objectives. That might be partisan in nature, but might be more selfish than that. In the Matrix of Four and also in the Complete Patriot's Guide, this idea was actually originally in the Complete Patriot's Guide, but I use it as a format in the Matrix of Four as well, and in the introduction, share it as a partial. There's that word used in at least. Yeah, there's partial used in at least decent mind state, right? It was in part inspiration for the Matrix of Four. There are four types of thinkers in the political world. In, in the political relationships of the world, there are four types of modes of thinking. This is based on four different reactions to information, and the idiots do not question reality. The zealots question reality only to affirm their position. Elitists question reality in order to gain from it. And finally, there are the rarest of the four, the patriots, which are akin to the Brotherhood in 1984. They're suggested, they're elusive, they're so few that you're left to wonder if they even do truly exist. The patriots openly question and openly share information. Quite impartial, actually. I only really enjoy the darkest of dark roasts. But it sure is lovely having a little late afternoon coffee. I don't like it later than it is right now, 3 or 4. But it's one thing about coffee that people don't realize is that it contains boron, and boron attracts negative, bad stuff, metals, radioactive elements, takes it out of the body. And yes, if you're alive in year 75 nuclear experiment, you are subject to radioactive fallout. Welcome to Earth. So, if we can find a way to be impartial as much as possible, or more specifically, find a way to be more and more impartial every day, just a little bit, we'll become more and more like that wise archetypal figure. The Mohists are often compared to the Greeks, as I said, and one of their parables, the dichotomy of the stick, I believe, is related to a Greek idea so specifically that it's just worth mention. The dichotomy of the stick proposes that if you cut a stick in half, that it will never be, you'll never have nothing, right? You'll always have a stick, even if you keep cutting it in half. Quote, figuratively forever. The parallel Greek idea, I forget what philosopher it is, but if he walks half the distance to his destination, each time he moves, he'll never get there, right? And it's now summarized in the parallel parable that if you walk half the distance to the wall with each step, you'll never get there. And the dichotomy of the stick actually reveals how we can pierce the veil of polarity, right? Because dichotomy means cut in half. It actually is used often enough to promote this idea of polarity. And as I say in the Matrix of Four, singular polarity is used to divide, right? The duality of polarity, if there's a set of four, like the idiots, zealots, elitists, and patriots, if you will, there's actually room for completion rather than obscuration towards division. So if we keep dichotomizing or having an idea being akin to the stick and we keep on cutting it in half, we'll never have lost the idea. We'll just understand it better. If we simply use the dichotomy one time for how most party systems work, we lead to really partial atmospheres and outcomes. And watching, observing the impeachment of the reality TV star president Donald Trump, noted by some to be the best president of all time, we can see the idiots, zealots, elitists, and patriot model play out in the halls of government. And we can also see the partisan atmosphere really, really obscures reality, right? If you're partisan, your intention is to defeat the alternative narrative, and that would be true on both sides. And so then you have really hard to distinguish truth out there, right? Or idiot truth and zealot truth. The elitist truth always has, the elitists are the speak no evil monkey. So they keep you guessing, they keep it secret. But the partisan actuality of government leads to partiality of mind state. Your sentiment is left incomplete. Most sentiments are left incomplete. So we want to pursue impartiality. And actually, I would hope that ultimately we can abandon partisan politics, right? Because as I put forth in the Complete Patriot's Guide to Oligarchical Collectivism, inspired by George Orwell's 1984, there's one bird of oligarchy, and it has two wings, the right wing and the left wing. And I take that allegory to a humorous place. A little step further. But it's one bird, and there's two wings, and they do not function in disunity. They function as the wings work together, even though it appears they're in opposition. So the more we pursue impartiality, the less we're subject to partiality of partisan politics. Now, I hope I gotta go. My countdown is about up. I got to this 15-minute joint. I hope you'll, speaking of joints, check out my book, Marijuana and the Prohibition of the Divine Feminine, for something completely different. But the books that I was kind of exploring this episode again were the Tao of Thoth, my newest work, The Matrix of Four, and the Complete Patriot's Guide. So let's rearrange. Keep it impartial. Peace on earth. Ethan Indigo Smith here. One love.